I'm going to start purposefully, and of course, I mean the story of Passover begins in Exodus chapter 12, the entire chapter. But the word Passover itself begins in Exodus chapter 12, verse 11. And let's take a look at it. And thus shall you eat Passover with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it in haste. It is Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, Passover. Exodus chapter 12, verse 21. I'm going to stop for a moment and chat with you for a second. Okay, I'm going to go over Passover scriptures. And although Passover is discussed in all of Exodus chapter 12, I'm going to start where Passover itself began, which is Exodus chapter 12, verse 11. And thus shall you eat Passover, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it in haste, because it is Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, Passover. Exodus chapter 12, verse 21. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel, and said unto them, Draw out, and take you a lamb according to your family, and kill the Passover. Exodus chapter 12, verse 27. That you shall say, It is the sacrifice of Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. And the people bowed their heads and worshipped. Exodus chapter 12, verse 43. And Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh said unto Moses and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. Exodus chapter 12, verses 48 and 49. And when a stranger shall sojourn with you, and will keep the Passover to Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land. For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. Exodus chapter 34, verse 25. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, neither shall the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover be left unto the morning. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month, at even, is Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, Passover. Numbers chapter 9, verse 2. Let the children of Israel also keep the Passover at his appointed season. What you may begin to notice here is that although the word Passover is common to each one of these scriptures, you're getting more and more pieces of information in each scripture. The entire picture, puzzle picture, is not together in one passage. But as we put all of these scriptures down for us in one section, then you can begin to see and pick up on the fact that you're getting more and more information with each one. Numbers chapter 9, verse 4. And Moses spake unto the children of Israel that they should keep Passover. Numbers chapter 9, verse 5. And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at even in the wilderness of Sinai. Sinai, according to all that Yahweh commanded Moses, so did the children of Israel, our forefathers. Numbers chapter 9, verse 6. And there were certain men who were defiled by the dead body of a man, that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses, Aaron, on that day. Now, note that an unclean person could not participate in a sacrificial meal. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 28 and 29 says, "But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eats and drinks damnation to himself." Why? Because he does not discern Yahweh Bethlehem Yahweh's body. For this cause, many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. Now this particular note is telling us that there is a lack of discernment. There's a lack of enlightenment. There's a lack of wisdom and knowledge of what is really going on. And a person who participates in a holy sacrifice without discernment is really damaging himself. So that's very important to understand about contaminating oneself with the dead body and understanding what that really means as an allegory. Numbers chapter 9, verse 10. "Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If any man of you or your posterity, your children, shall be unclean by the reason of a dead body, or be in a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto Yahweh." Now take another note. If for some reason a man could not observe the Passover, or be present at the sanctuary at the prescribed time, provisions were made for him to keep it 1 month later. We still had to keep it. Numbers chapter 9, verse 11. "The 14th day of the second month at even, they shall keep it, and eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs." In other words, exactly 1 month later, 30 days later, they were to keep the Passover, though they had been unclean the month before. Numbers chapter 9, verse 12. They shall leave none of it unto the morning, nor break any bone of it. That is very important to just take a note. According to all the ordinances of the Passover, they shall keep it. Note again that John chapter 19, verse 36 says, "For these things were done, that the scripture should be fulfilled. A bone of Yahweh Bethlehem Yahweh shall not be broken." Psalm chapter 34, verse 20. Yahweh Bethlehem Yahweh keepeth all his bones. Not one of them is broken. This is proof of this prophecy today, and that it is cryptic. Yes, Yahweh Passover is cryptic. Absolutely cryptic. John chapter 5, in chapter 19, verse 37, and again, another scripture says, "They shall look on Yahweh Bethlehem Yahweh, whom they pierced or prosecuted." Psalms chapter 22, verses 16 through 18 says, "For dogs have compassed me. The assembly of the wicked legal system have enclosed me in prison. They pierced and prosecuted my hands. Which is my power and strength. The Hebrew word for pierced is yad, yud, dalet. So they pierced or prosecuted my power, strength, and good works. They prosecuted against my possessions because of my submissiveness, and they pierced or prosecuted my wealth and have pierced my feet, which is the foundation of those who follow me. I may tell all my bones, according to Ezekiel chapter 37, on my bones. They look and store upon me. They part my garments of property as in land among them, and cast lots for them through foreclosure. Revelation testifies in chapter 1, verse 7, Behold, Yahweh business of feet Yahweh cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. 625 million on TV shall see him, and they also which pierced and persecuted him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Daniel testifies in chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, what Yahweh showed him in night vision. Behold, Yahweh business of feet Yahweh, the Son of Man, came with the clouds. That's cryptic. Came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days. And they brought Yahweh business of feet Yahweh near before him. And there was given Yahweh business of feet Yahweh dominion and glory and a kingdom that all people, all nations, and all languages should serve Yahweh business of feet Yahweh. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Matthew chapter 24, verse 30 testifies, And then shall appear the sign of Yahweh, business of feet Yahweh. Now that too is cryptic. Where shall it appear? Where shall the Son of Man appear? In heaven. Normally, the way we have been taught about heaven, you can't see heaven itself. Not to think about see in heaven. So that's cryptic. And then shall all the people of the earth mourn. And they shall see Yahweh, Bethlehem of feet, Yahweh, the Son of Man, coming in the clouds of heaven on international TV with power and great glory. Matthew chapter 26, verse 64 says, Hereafter shall you see Yahweh, Bethlehem of feet, Yahweh, the Son of Man, sitting on the right hand of power and coming on international TV, the clouds of heaven. Numbers chapter 9, verse 13. But the man that is clean and is not on a journey and forbeareth to keep the Passover, even the same soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he brought not the offering of Yahweh in his appointed season. That man shall bear his sin in transgressing the law. Numbers chapter 9, verse 14. And if a stranger sojourn among you, and will keep the Passover unto Yahweh, according to the ordinance of the Passover, and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do. You shall have one law for all. Numbers chapter 28, verse 16. Says, and in the 14th day of the first month is the Passover of Yahweh. Numbers chapter 33, verse 3. And they departed from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month, on the morrow after the Passover. The children of Israel went out with a high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1. I know that this is kind of fast for anyone to turn to, but if you've been taking the notes on the Scriptures, you too can come back and read them later. Observe the month of Abib in Deuteronomy 16 and 1, and keep the Passover unto Yahweh, your God. For in the month of Abib, Yahweh, your God, brought you forth out of Egypt by night. Deuteronomy 16, verse 2. Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto Yahweh, your God, of the flock and the herd, in the place which Yahweh shall choose to place his name there. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 5 and 6. You may not sacrifice the Passover within any of your gates, which Yahweh, your God, giveth you. But at the place which Yahweh, your God, shall choose to place his name in, there you shall sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the going down of the sun, at the season that you came forth out of Egypt. This is telling us the law we must obey. Not when we want to, but at a prescribed time, at the appointed season, and also where Yahweh, your God, chooses to place his name. You just must obey it. And in Joshua chapter 5, verse 10, and the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even, in the plain of Jericho. This scripture points out that even if it's not convenient, it's in the plain, you keep it anyway. Joshua chapter 5, verse 11. And they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after Passover. Yahweh provided food. They also ate unleavened cakes and parched corn the self-same day. The 2 Kings chapter 23, verses 21 through 23. And the king commanded all the people, saying, keep the Passover unto Yahweh congregation in Jerusalem to keep the Passover in the second month. Again, note that the Passover was not kept the first month as prescribed in the law because, there was a reason, because the temple was in the process of being cleansed. However, this exception was allowed by Numbers chapter 9, verses 9 to 11. Now let us take a look at 2 Chronicles chapter 30, verse 5. So they established a decree to make the proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to keep the Passover under Yahweh, God of Israel, at Jerusalem. For they had not done it of a long time, in such sort as it was written. They had fallen away. And this, of course, is why our forefathers, Israel, have always had problems. Is because we have wandered away from keeping the law. And with that comes curses and the destruction of us as a people. And that's why we are going through all of these scriptures on the law, is so that you can pick up on all these points when you go back and really study this. This is not something that you just take lightly and read part of it or read all of it and just lay it aside and say, I read it. It's to be studied. 2 Chronicles chapter 30, verse 15. When they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the second month, and the priests and the Levites were ashamed and sanctified themselves. Again, you sanctify yourself. You don't wait on someone else to sanctify you. That is the job of each individual to sanctify themselves. 2 Chronicles chapter 30, verse 18. For a multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim and Manasseh, Hezekiah and Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves. Yet did they eat the Passover, otherwise than it was written. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, the good Lord Yahweh, please pardon everyone. Some are just hard-headed, aren't they? That's what this proves. Some love to try to do their own thing and to get around the divine holy law which blesses them. 2 Chronicles chapter 35, verse 1. Moreover, Josiah kept a Passover unto Yahweh in Jerusalem. And they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month. 2 Chronicles 35, verses 6 to 9. So kill the Passover and sanctify yourselves, and prepare your brethren, that they may do according to the word of Yahweh, which was written by the hand of Moses. And Josiah gave to the people of the flock lambs and kids, all for the Passover offering, for all that was present, to the number of 30,000 and 3,000 bullocks. These were of the king's substance. That was a very rich substance to just be slaughtered, to be eaten for a day. And his princes gave willingly also unto the people, to the priests, and to the Levites. Malchiah and Zechariah and Jehiel, rulers of the house of Yahweh, gave unto the priests for the Passover offerings 2,600 small cattle and 300 oxen. Quite an offering, quite a gift, quite a sharing to the brothers and sisters. Hananiah, also Shemaiah, and Nathaniel, his brethren, and Hashabiah, and Jael, and Josiah, chief of the Levites, gave it to the Levites for Passover offering of 5,000 small cattle and 500 oxen, demonstrating the spirit of giving. 2 Chronicles chapter 35, verse 11, and they killed the Passover, and the priests sprinkled the blood from their hands, and the Levites slayed them, their hands. 2 Chronicles chapter 35, verse 13, and they roasted the Passover with fire according to the ordinance. It's very important to understand why you would roast it instead of boil it or cook it in any other manner. One thing it does is gets rid of all the fat and it keeps it from spoiling quickly, like barbecue. But the other holy offerings were sod in pots, that means boiled, and the cauldrons that were boiled in pots and cauldrons. Just remember we had those types of utensils then, and pans, and divided them speedily among all the people. Notice here that when you boil meat, you have to get rid of it quick. And that is demonstrated here. 2 Chronicles chapter 35, verses 16 through 19 says, so all the service of Yahweh was prepared the same day. Can you imagine killing 40,000 animals, getting them all cooked in the same day to keep the Passover? And the children of Israel that were present kept the Passover at that time, and the feast 7 days. And there was no Passover like to that kept in Israel from the days of famine to the prophets. Neither did all the kings of Israel keep such a Passover as Josiah kept, and the priests and the Levites, and all Judah and Israel that were present, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. None of them ever kept it. And Josiah set that example. That is why it is important to have all of these scriptures on Passover in one section so that you can digest how powerful this is. So in the 18th year of the reign of Josiah was this Passover kept. In Ezra chapter 6, verses 19 and 20, and the children of the captivity, the Passover, they kept it. The children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. That's very important. For the priests and the Levites were purified together. All of them were pure and killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity and for their brethren the priests and for themselves. This is whether you know you must be purified, you must be sanctified, you must sanctify yourself, you must purify yourself during this season of Passover. You don't just come, you don't just live any kind of way or have any kind of thought. Purify your mind. How powerful this is. Some people falsely forget Passover should not be kept because of the New Testament. Well, let us see. Matthew chapter 26, verse 2. Matthew is the New Testament. From this point through Revelation is the New Testament. Matthew 26, verse 2. You know that after 2 days is the feast of Passover. And the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. That was a prophecy of what would happen today. Let us look now at Matthew chapter 26, verses 17 through 19. Now, the first day of the feast disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat Passover?
Yes, Father.
And he said, Go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, The master says, The time is at hand. I will keep the Passover. Check that out. Jesus said, I will keep the Passover. So if you're going to walk in his footsteps, what must you say? I will keep the Passover. So you have to stop letting the enemy of Christ tell you you should not keep the Passover when the man that you worship in the name of says, I will keep the Passover. So if you're going to walk in his footsteps and repeat all that he did and all that he said, you must say, I will keep the Passover. And he said, I will keep it at the house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them. And they made ready the Passover. Not the communion, they made ready the Passover. No matter what you say about communion, you must keep the Passover. You need an understanding. So note, my time is at hand. That's a quote that he said. He said, my time is at hand. Tell this man in the city that the master says, my time is at hand. That refers to the day of Yudhe-Wave, Bethlehem, Fosi, Yudhe-Wave. And it refers to Yudhe-Wave, Passover, and the times of which certain foreordained events take place, and necessary accomplishments need to take place. That's what that refers to. Mark chapter 14, verse 1. After 2 days was the feast of Passover and of unleavened bread. And the chief priests and the scribes thought how they might take the Son of Man by craft and put him to death. Notice, they all were involved in the Passover. In Mark chapter 14, verse 12, and the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover, his disciples said unto him, Where wilt thou that we go and prepare, that you may eat the Passover? Mark chapter 14, verse 14. And wheresoever he shall go in, with this man in the city, say ye to the good man of the house, The master saith, Where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover? The guest chamber was a lodging house. It was a hotel. There was the big banquet room. That's what the guest chamber means when you do your research. Mark chapter 14, verse 16. And his disciples went forth and came into the city and found as he had said unto them. And they made ready the Passover. Jesus and his disciples made ready the Passover, killed the Passover, ate the Passover together. Now we've gone from Matthew and Mark. Now here's Luke. Chapter 2, verse 41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of Passover. The parents of Jesus went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of Passover. Luke chapter 22, verse 1. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew close, which is called Passover. It's in the book of Luke. Further in Luke chapter 22, verse 7 and 8. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. And he said, Peter and John, saying, Go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. Now Peter and John ate it. How are you going to say you saw the Christ and not eat Passover when his disciples ate it? Peter and John ate it. All the disciples ate it. So they couldn't possibly teach you not to eat it. They ate it. You must eat it. Luke chapter 22, verse 11. And you shall say unto the good man found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. John chapter 22, verses 15 through 16. And he said unto them, with desire I have desired to eat the Passover with you before I suffer. Think about that. Here is Jesus saying, with desire, it is my desire. And not only that, please know these words. With desire, I have desired. That means with a great, intense emotion. I have desired to eat Passover with you before I suffer. For I say unto you, I will not anymore eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of Yahweh. Now check that out. For all of you who will say, you don't eat Passover ever again, he said you're going to eat it again. In the kingdom of Yahweh, in the kingdom of God. When all is fulfilled, the law is never going to be abolished. That's what this is clearly showing us. The law is not abolished. The law is never going to be abolished. So, since I am establishing the kingdom, and I have established the kingdom of Yahweh, then you all must now come and eat the Passover and feast of unleavened bread. You don't have any choice now. Now, let us go further. Get some more shocks. And look at John chapter 2, verse 13. And the Hebrews' Passover was at hand, and he went up to Jerusalem. John chapter 2, verse 23. Now, when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover, in the feast day, many believed in his name. Now, the Greek word for name is onoma. And there's a prophecy of the name of Yahweh Ben Yahweh, and deals with the character described by the name. It deals with his fame. It deals with his reputation. Many believe in his fame. Many believe in his reputation, which implies authority. This name carries dignity. Yahweh Ben Name is representative of a person. Clearly, the name Yahweh Ben Yahweh is designed. Clearly, it is designed. No one can argue that it is not a divine name. The divine name. No one. Not even the devil can argue that it's not the divine name. He has to confess it is the divine name. Revelation chapter 3, verse 4 gives importance to names not defiled. So, to be baptized into someone's name means to be baptized into the faith of that person, or to be baptized into the confession of that person, and to be identified with his character and his purpose. It also refers to delegated power and authority in the name. The promise in John chapter 14, verse 13, whatsoever you shall ask in my name, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, that will I do. Whatever you may ask. In my name, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, that will I do. Try it. That's all you have to do. Try it. It means I will do. Not simply what you ask, but whatever is conformable to my character and to my purpose. Not just anything you say, like, hold me a new foot. That's the cut off. That's foolish. John chapter 6, verse 4. And the Passover, a feast of the Hebrews, was close. John chapter 11, verse 55. And the Hebrews' Passover was close. course, if you put Yahweh and yourself first in your life and all that you do, that is not a problem. John chapter 12, verse 1. When Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead. The Greek word is Symbolism, and means really to die a spiritual death. As Timothy testifies in 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 6, but she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. Thus, Lazarus is really a prophecy of the work of Yahweh Ben Yahweh, his day, whom he is raising Lazarus from the dead, who has died a spiritual death, referring, of course, to the so-called black man as Lazarus. John chapter 13, verse 1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. Now, this is prophecy of Yahweh Ben Yahweh, when his hour came to depart and to be put into prison unto the Father Yahweh, and spiritually ascend. And no question that Yahweh Ben Yahweh loves his own to the end of wicked rule. That is proven by the facts and the acts. In John chapter 18, verses 28 through 30, then led they Jesus from Caiaphas unto the hall of judgment, which is federal court and state court today, where they tried Yahweh Ben Yahweh. And it was early before Yahweh Passover, and they themselves went not into the judgment hall, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Passover. Pilate went out unto them and said, what accusation bring you against this man? You see, Yahweh Ben Yahweh was also falsely accused. They answered and said unto him, if Jesus were not a malefactor, we would not have delivered him up unto thee. Remember now, Jesus was labeled a malefactor. He was charged in a warrant as a malefactor. Now note, Yahweh Ben Yahweh is also accused of being a malefactor. So here you have Jesus, and here you have Yahweh Ben Yahweh, both being accused of being a malefactor. What does it mean? It means criminal. Jesus was accused of being a criminal. Jesus was accused of being a felon. Jesus was accused of being a larcener. Jesus was accused of being a lawbreaker. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which means a convict. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which means a jailbird. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which means a chronic crook. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which means a transgressor, an offender, a culprit, and a miscreant. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which means to be a wrongdoer, an evildoer, and a sinner. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor. Yahweh Ben Yahweh is accused of being a malefactor, a malfeasant. Jesus and Yahweh Ben Yahweh both charged with being a malefactor, which means a perjurer, a gangster, and a racketeer. Yahweh Ben Yahweh was accused of conspiracy to commit RICO, a racketeer, running a racket. Jesus was accused of being a racketeer, running a racket. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, a desperado, a terrorist. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which means to be a hoodlum, a bad actor. Yes, Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which means to be an assassin, a murderer, a killer, a slayer, and a cutthroat. Think about it. You are still following a man who was accused of these things and crucified for these things 1900 years ago and never received a pardon. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which means a silencer, a dispatcher, a robber, and a thief, an embezzler. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor. Accused of being outlaw, an extortionist, a black man. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which means, according to the dictionary, synonym finds of being a usurer, a loan shark, a bleeder. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which is defined as a smuggler, a bootlegger, a white slaver. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which is defined as a swindler, a trickster, a confidence man, a con artist, a con man. Isn't it interesting that Yahweh Bethlehem Sophie Yahweh Ben Yahweh is accused of these things identically? But you know it was a prophecy. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, defined as a forger, a counterfeiter. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, defined as a kidnapper, an abductor, and a rapist. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which is defined as a sodomist, a pervert, a degenerate, and a child molester. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which is defined as an arsonist, an incendiary. Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which is defined as a rioter, a revolutionary, an insurgent, a bomb thrower, and a bomb planter. Yes, Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which is defined as a villain, a blackguard, and a reprobate. Yes, Jesus was accused of being a malefactor, which is defined as being a scoundrel, a rogue, a monster, a demon, and a devil. Yes, Jesus was accused as being a malefactor, which means a mischief maker. Yahweh is accused identically today. And all of the public court records testify to that reality. What a shock to your mind to realize that if Jesus were to appear this minute, today, he would immediately be labeled a cult leader. He would immediately be labeled all over again a malefactor, because it has happened to Yahweh, Bethlehem Sophie Yahweh, who was denied bond because he quoted the words of Christ in Luke chapter 19, verse 27. John chapter 19, verse 14. And it was the preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour, and Pilate said unto the Hebrews, Behold your king, which today is Yahweh Bethlehem referenced from the Passover scriptures. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7, purge out, therefore, the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you are unleavened. For even Christ, our Passover sacrifice for us. Now here we get a big shock if you take time to think about it. Here we're seeing cryptology, or a cryptic lesson. For you're talking about old leaven being compared to you becoming a new lump. So you know that's allegorical. And saying that you, as a person, as an individual, are unleavened. And it's telling you that your Passover is Yudewape Bethel to see Yudewape. So this scripture is key to your resurrection and proves such a beautiful allegorical picture. Now let us look at Hebrews chapter 11, verses 27 and 28. By faith, Moses forsook Egypt, as Yudewape Bethel so feet Yudewape forsook America, not fearing the wrath of the king. For he endured, as Yudewape Bethel so feet Yudewape has endured prison with firmness and steadfastness, strength, has endured with courage, as seeing Yudewape who is invisible. Through faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, lest the Yudewape that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. Now note that the death of the firstborn in Egypt was a prophetic token of double cryptic significance. On the one hand, the firstborn of Egypt was killed, while Moses and the children of Israel were spared by the blood of the Lamb as a token. On the second hand, in Exodus chapter 4, verse 2, Yudewape presents Israel as his son, even his firstborn. On the third hand, Israel, the firstborn son of Yudewape, was spiritually and mentally killed under the cryptic so-called black man here in North America. On the fourth hand, this requires a miracle birth from the spiritually dead Israel, hidden under the cryptic name black man. This miracle birth of Yudewape Bethel so feet Yudewape from spiritually dead Israel, in Revelation chapter 1 verse 5, he is called the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead so-called blacks, who are also known cryptically as the widow's son and dry bones. This day of the miracle birth of Yudewape Bethel so feet Yudewape also includes the times of the resurrection and includes the day of Yudewape Bethel so feet Yudewape and includes Yudewape Passover. On the fifth hand, Israel, the so-called black man today, will be resurrected and will be spared again by the blood of the Lamb. And Yudewape Bethel so feet Yudewape suffering crucifixion as a malefactor, suffering judicial murder in U.S. courts, and laid to rest in the tomb grave of America's worst penitentiary. All of this is a cryptic knowledge. On the sixth of the firstborn Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem, so Yudhe-Wahbe, who will rise again and spare true Israel, the so-called black man, from Yudhe-Wahbe Passover, which will kill and destroy Cain, the firstborn of Lucifer and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, and all his lying, murderous descendants. On the Son's hand, the Garden of Eden, the planet Earth, shall be given to the righteous heirs, the firstborn of Yudhe-Wahbe, Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe, and Yud-Sin Resh Aleph Lamed, which under their rulership, planet Earth becomes the kingdom of heaven. That's a lot to digest and to read over and study over and over again until you get that picture, that cryptic picture, very clear. There are many hands to look at there. The Greek word for firstborn is prototokos. And as applied to Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe, in respect of his being the firstborn of the virgin, so-called black people, without excluding, however, the following higher sense, in which Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe, was eminently the firstborn. In Matthew chapter 1, verse 25, we see clearly that the husband of the so-called black woman did not know or understand their role in bringing about the prophecy of Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe, their firstborn son as Messiah, who is the image of the invisible God, Yudhe-Wahbe, the firstborn of every creature. For by Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe, and for him. And Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe is before all things. And yet by him all things consist. And Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe is the head of the body, who is the nation of Yudhe-Wahbe, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the spiritually dead so-called black man. That in all things he might have preeminence, that in all things Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe might have preeminence. For it pleased the Father Yudhe-Wahbe that in Yudhe-Wahbe Bethlehem Sophie, Yudhe-Wahbe should all fullness dwell,